we want to make something that's very reliable and that works in multiple situations. So that's where testing comes in, and we use this decade box here. It helps us understand how it works against different capacitors, which is key because people use different caps on their guitars, but they also use different cable lengths, and some people use wireless systems. And so just understanding how it works under different levels of capacitance really lets us know, did we make the pickup correctly? Is it something that's going to stand up? Every set gets sound tested through this, and also gets sound tested through various amps, and through modelers, and even directly into Logic, just to make sure it sounds good in every situation. But that's not the only thing. We want it to perform well, but we also want to make sure it lasts forever. The next part of the testing has to do with making sure they're going to stand up. This copper wire expands and retracts as the temperature changes. So we try to mimic some of that here in the shop. See here, we already have some here in this freezer. The reason why we freeze them is the copper wire expands and retracts and changes in temperature. So when it gets very cold, if you live in Minnesota or New York and you leave it in your car overnight, then all the copper components in there are going to shrink a little bit, including the pickups, which is a big component of a pickup is copper, and the copper wire, and it's going to shrink. So what can happen when it shrinks is, perhaps we wound it too tightly at some point during the winding process, and maybe that's going to cause it to break. Or maybe it's going to cause a short at the eyelet where the wire, where the hookup wire to the pickup is soldered in. That's all a possibility. So we want to make sure that cold weather isn't going to be a problem, whether it's a year or 2 years down the road. Let's just figure it out. You'd be surprised, and it's not a lot, but we do catch some in this freezing process. And we'd much rather have that happen on our watch than on your watch, or before a show or during a show. We also heat them. We also put them in a toaster oven and heat them just below 140. That mimics what would happen if you put it in your trunk if you live in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's kind of the same deal. Can we reveal a short that you would reveal as a customer 2 years down the road? Can we reveal it early on in the process and sell you something that not only tests good today, but will test good for years and years down the road? So it's not just about making a pickup and testing it to make sure it sounds great. Of course, that's very important, but it's also to make sure it's going to stand the test of time and perform for you for years and years and years down the road with no issue. I've not really heard of anyone else doing this type of thing, and we're happy to do it. It takes longer, but it's worth it. Yes, this is after about 1 hour in the freezer, and you can see as it gets warmer, it's climbing, the ohm reading. And of course, it only has to do with the copper wire expanding as it gets hotter. The reading came down quite a bit in only about an hour, but we go ahead and we test them, and we retest them an hour in, and then a couple hours later, and then even overnight. We monitor them as they come back up to full room temperature, just to make sure that they act appropriately. Only after all of our pickups have gone through the slow build process, only after the magnets have been treated in such a way that gives it the response that we're looking for, only after they go through all the various tests, from the heat test to the cold test to the sound test against tube amps and solid state amps, and also into modelers and into software and recording programs. After all that's done, it's a long process. People that play them tell us that it's definitely worth it. It's worth it to us, just to make sure we build something that is not only reliable but consistent. Not only does it work consistently, does it work amazingly well consistently, and that's what we're going after. And once the pickups, they don't all make it. Some of them end up in the bucket, but the ones that make it make a lot of people happy, and we're really proud to make it, and we're super proud to put our name on these things. And when you see a pickup with our name on it, you know that it's gone through these tests, and it's the same pickup that all the pros are raving about. We're very, very humbled by the response people have given us, and it's a great sense of pride. And after the pickup has passed all the tests, it's good enough for the name. Tone Specific. This is one of our jazz sets, 1951.